25 minutes into this first half of Northern Premier League action. 0-0 the score between Park Avenue and Warrington Rylands. Lewis Hay with the ball in his hands, ready to take a throw in just inside the Rylands half. Neither team yet to have a particularly clear-cut chance. We've seen two efforts, one from either side from the edge of the box. One was from Motura, the other from Park Avenue's Jordan Preston. Both were in fact blocked or deflected. But here's Thibault inside the Rylands box. Shot on goal. There's a second chance. Jay Daniels pressing on. 1-0 Bradford Park Avenue. Great work by striker Adrian Thibault to get that effort on goal after turning captain James Neild. Spun him, right-footed effort. Great save diving to the right-hand side for Luke Pilling. But it was Jake Daniels pressing just quicker than right-back Clive Smith to put the ball in the back of the net for Park Avenue as they lead 1-0 here at the Horsfall Community Stadium.
So if it goes down again, stop streaming, refresh that, start streaming.
Are we on now?
Yeah.
Where's the table?
I think football web pages might be down. It's not coming up. It's the right link and everything.
So back underway now. Motura gets the ball moving again, but Park Avenue lead here at the Horsfall. Apologies for any connectivity issues, but just to go over what has just happened in the last few moments here at the Horsfall Stadium. Jake Daniels putting a rebounded effort past goalkeeper Luke Pilling in the Warrington Rylands net to give Park Avenue the lead here 26 minutes into the first half. But Warrington Rylands, Dan Cockerline now forward, wins his side a throw-in. So Park Avenue lead 1-0 here after some great work by Adrian Thibault to turn captain James Neild of Warrington Rylands. Get a shot on goal. That shot was saved by Pilling, but Daniels got there first before Clive Smith. But here, chance for Rylands now in the box, in the 6-yard area. What can they do? Moture's ball did really well to work that back towards his player, but his player was just overran. Dean Furman now, ball out to the right-hand side. Here's Howe, ball across. Defended well by Mason O'Malley. But just to confirm, as it does go out for a corner to Warrington Rylands to be taken out on this right-hand side, it is 1-0 to Bradford Park Avenue. Jake Daniels, great work from the man on loan from Blackpool. Just got in front of his man. Was more alert, quicker reactions, and poked it home. First time finish to give Park Avenue the lead here. Corner to be taken by Warrington Rylands. Swung in, outswinger. Flavel gets a hand towards it, but he's deemed to have been fouled on his goal line. Free kick to Bradford Park Avenue. And as it stands, Bradford Park Avenue are climbing their way out of the relegation zone. But plenty of time still to go here at the Horsfall. 29 minutes gone. 1-0 Park Avenue. Bell to take the free kick. Now, left-footed strike all the way downfield, looking for the head of Captain Preston. He can't win the first ball, but the second ball is won by Hopper, and then the third is won by Preston. And then Jake Daniels swiftly plays the ball out to Mason O'Malley on this side. And O'Malley plays a looping cross into the area. It's won by Thibault, just bouncing around in the 6-yard box, but cleared by Butler before Preston can get there to get an effort on goal. The centre now at the back for Park Avenue with the ball. Oh, great flick by Mayoko down the right-hand side to Thibault. Thibault with a sweeping ball across to the back stick. Looking for Daniels. Daniels just on the edge of the area. Left-foot trip ball across the area. And Park Avenue growing in confidence now after they lead 1-0. That ball will go out for a Rylands goal kick, however. Must be said that Jake Daniels has been working tirelessly in this first half an hour defensively and offensively, and fully deserved of getting that goal that gives the Park Avenue side the lead. Jake Daniels' second goal for the club since joining on loan. Goal kick taken. And Edimayoko spoons the ball high into the sky. And Daniels now seems to have a slight beating of Clive Smith. Bit of room for Daniels driving inside now. Goes back onto this left-hand side to Preston. What can Jordan Preston do? Goes back to O'Malley, who then shifts it back to Hopper. And Hopper now goes back to his centre-half. Jack Whiting now to DeSena. And all the way back at Kieran Flavel's feet, who goes long. Hits the ball high into the grey sky here in Bradford. Lewis Hay with a flick on header. Great work by Tybalt, the young striker. He's doing fantastically well, but that ball does unfortunately come free and is eventually cleared by Butler. But a shank clearance by James Bailey means that the ball doesn't leave the half of Rylands, and throw-in will be taken by Lewis Hay to Edimayoko and back to Riley DeSena. Then back to the man in goal for Park Avenue, Flavel. And the ball eventually does go out after DeSena knocks it against James Bailey. Throw-in to be taken by Lewis Hay. On the far side. Long throwing down the line by the looks of it, and it is long. Looking for Thibault, who gets his head there first, and Preston, what can he do with the seconds? Gets his body in the way. The big frame of Jordan Preston. Now Edimayoko just knocks it back to his right back, Lewis Hay, who looks to try and play a switching sides ball. Slightly off target, but a combination of O'Malley and Daniels does well to keep that ball under control for Park Avenue. Whiting now back to his goalkeeper, Flavel. Flavel to DeSena. DeSena looking down the line, but that looks like it'll run all the way through to the goalkeeper, Luke Pilling. Danny Whitaker visibly frustrated with that as a wasteful moment of possession for Park Avenue. Ball forward, Cockerline wins the first header. DeSena wins the second. But it does fall to Cockerline, and the ball definitely came off the hand of Cockerline there after Whiting attempted to clear the ball, but the referee didn't want to get his whistle to the mouth there as the ball goes into the half of Rylands and back to goalkeeper Pilling. He slices one forward just across the halfway line, and it comes off the shoulder of Lancaster. I'm not sure he quite meant it to go like that, but it worked out nonetheless. As Whiting goes back to Flavel. Tries to play a ball, switching it from left to right, but that won't find a Park Avenue man. And then Moture just fouls Harrison Hopper, 15 yards in the Park Avenue half. Just pulling him down, attempting to get a hold of the ball. DeSena goes short to Lewis Hay, and then Hay back to his number one. Flavel now looking down the line for the tall frame of Edimayoko. It's defended well by Brockbank, who goes inside to Neil, but Neil's clearance won't go further than Lancaster. Great flick over the top by Preston, and Tybalt just couldn't quite get a hold of that ball after getting his first touch on it over the head of James Neal. That ball just ran away from him, unfortunately, and into the hands of Luke Pilling. Park Avenue in possession of the ball, just around halfway line. DeSena goes forward, looking for Preston. What can Preston do? Win his side. A throw in once more. No, the ball doesn't go out of play, but Lewis Hay pokes it back to Riley DeSena. And just to confirm, Bradford Park Avenue lead 1-0 as it stands here at the Horsefall Stadium, thanks to a 26th minute goal from Jake Daniels, who was wise to a rebounded effort. Got there first ahead of right back Clive Smith and poked it home to give Park Avenue the lead. Rylands can't quite get things going in terms of in that final third, just can't quite seem to play that final ball after bodies like Hopper and Hay and Lancaster just reading well to intercept those passes. Ball inside now to Hay, and Lancaster drops the shoulder and plays the ball back to DeSena, throwing 2 players off his scent. Now he is again. Receives the ball with his right foot, shifts it on with his left to Jack Whiting. Whiting looking for Hopper, and Hopper now to Lancaster. Back to Hopper, just on the halfway line out on this left-hand side. Whiting, Lancaster. Whiting plays a ball in the air back to his goalkeeper, who calmly plays it out to Riley DeSena, who's got some room to travel in front of him, but opts to play the ball to Lewis Hay, who tries to play a pass back on himself, and it's picked up by Harrison Hopper on the edge of the area. What can Harrison Hopper do now in the Rylands box? Plays it back to Edemayoko. Edemayoko trying to just get that ball out onto his left foot, but just couldn't quite create enough room to find a pass. But Rylands still in their own half. Great work by Yonshan, though. Puts the ball through the legs of Mason O'Malley, and Ben Howe driving forward. But his infield ball, like I mentioned before, that last pass, just not quite working for Rylands at the moment. That one was behind Dan Cockline. It's not the first time we've seen that this half. Park Avenue regain the ball. Lancaster out to DeSena. And DeSena now to Flavel. And Lancaster can receive the ball and turn and travel through his own half, looking for a pass forward. Scanning is the former Barnsley Academy graduate. Now looks to play a ball over to that right-hand side. Edemayoko, poor touch from the former Rylands man, and now Torre has some space, driving towards the 2 defenders. Ben Howe with a shot and drags it wide. Now that is the best chance of the game for Warrington. Rylands. Mo Torre did fantastic work driving at the back 2 of Whiting and DeSena. Rolled it over to his right-hand side to Ben Howe, who took a side-footed effort, and you thought he'd at least get the ball on target from there. But he rolled the ball quite a distance past the left post. And the score remains 1-0 to Park Avenue. Here's DeSena looking down the line for Thibault. Gets there, but can't quite keep the ball in play, the former Macclesfield man. And Neil now with the ball at his feet goes to James Butler. Here is Dean Furman. Great work from Thibault, seeing him just clipping at the ankles. Not fouling Dean Furman though, but just getting right up behind him. Forcing him to release the ball, and then once more Mason O'Malley wins the ball, plays it into Jordan Preston's feet, and back to O'Malley, and then back to Preston now, 10 yards into the Park Avenue half. There's a bit of room there potentially for a counter-attack, but Warrington Rylands recovered well, and the ball's now back at the feet of goalkeeper Kieran Flavel. Ball forward, intercepted now by Butler. He's looking for option and can't quite find his desired target, but flick forward, comes off the heels of Mason O'Malley. Not quite sure what he knew about that. Yonshan stands him up, drives into the area. Left footed effort by Yonshan, looking to curl it into that far top corner. Just dipping over the bar. Untroubled was Kieran Flavel. Flavel slowly gets ready to take his goal kick. 40 minutes gone here at the Horsefall. Looking at other scores from around the ground as Flavel goes forward, looking for Daniels, who wins the header, and Hopper wins the next one. Butler now and Furman hoofs the ball long, and Cockline won't get there. Ashton United lead 2-0 at home to Worksop Town. Guiseley 0, Radcliffe 0 as it stands. Matlock Town 1, Lancaster City 0 as Preston now plays the ball over to that right hand side for Eddie Mayoko to pick up. Here is Mayoko. And Hay. Morpeth are losing at home 1-0 to Atherton Collieries. Whitby Town 0, Gainsborough Trinity 0. Workington nil. Hyde United nil. As a shot from about 40 yards, a rather hopeful shot from Jake Daniels. Doesn't trouble Luke Pilling too much. He did have to dive to save it, but just doing his work. Great turn by Jonsson again. Must be complimentary of the right-sided player of Warrington, Rylands. He's got a fantastic turn on him and close control that has got him past Mason O'Malley once or twice, but his final product hasn't quite matched his ability to beat Mason. Clive Smith potentially with a long throw in into the box here. It seems like he's lining it up, and it is a throw in towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Coquelin receives the ball. Great touch. Lays it off to his centre half Butler, and Butler hangs the ball in the air towards that back stick. Drops to Bailey. Now to Brockbank on the edge of the area, and back to his captain Neil. He puts a left-footed ball, delivering it into the box. It's won by Smith, but headed further away from goal than what he'd intended, and calls for a foul there, and the foul has been given against Butler, and Butler's already on a yellow card. It's similar to the last one in terms of Adrian Thibault doing really well to use his body against the big centre-half of Warrington Rylands, and Danny Whittaker's absolutely fuming with that one, as he feels like that could have potentially been the afternoon for Warrington Rylands number 5, and he's definitely in a bit of trouble. Referee calls him and captain, other centre-half, James Neild, over and sends Neild away now. And I think the referee is probably just saying to the big centre-half Butler, that's your last one, son. Because that's twice now, 2 cynical fouls. Once he was into the book. That time I think he just about got away with it. And you can hear the displeasure of the crowd here in Bradford. Foul was given 10 yards into the Rylands half, and Harrington Hopper, with his body language, looks to be saying, well, how is that not a yellow card? It was almost exactly the same as the first challenge that got Butler his first yellow, and how's that not resulted in Rylands going down to 10 men? But here's Mason O'Malley now to take the free kick, hangs the ball in the air over towards the right-hand side, looking for DeSena, but it's cleared eventually, and only as far as Lewis Hay. Hopper does well to put a challenge in, as he was one-on-one with Janssen then. And the ball will be flicked out and eventually go out for a corner. Great work by Jake Daniels. Just poked the ball off Dean Furman, I think it was. And goalkeeper Luke Pilling did everything he could to try and keep that ball in play, but couldn't, and he's just checking out his leg. Artificial surface here, of course, and he did quite a big slide there. Nasty burn, I reckon, for Rylands number 1. Daniels, in-swinging ball. It's high and all the way deep, but Lancaster gets there, but can't loop the ball back. And that is weak from Luke Pilling. He was charging out of his area. Ed Mayoko just stood his ground. And Luke Pilling fell to the floor. Really weak. Referee didn't give it at first, but then did eventually blow his whistle. And Pilling gets the free kick that he ever so wanted. He goes long now, looking for Coquelin, who's a big presence up front. And you feel like if Rylands can latch on to one of those balls that's won by the big number 9, they may be able to cause a little bit of trouble on the back line of Park Avenue, that has to be said isn't the tallest of back lines, although they've done ever so well today defensively. Smith now throws it in field, looking for Howe. Great turn from Howe, and he goes down rather easily, but Hopper did stand on his foot. Foul given around 30 yards from goal, just to the right-hand side. And Flavelle instantaneously begins setting up his wall over in the last minute of the first half here at the Horsfall Stadium. 1-0 Park Avenue currently lead, but James Bailey is stood over the free kick, and he'll be trying to get Rylands back on level terms if possible. As we'll see, 2 minutes added, I believe, We will. 2 minutes added before half-time. Bailey swings the ball in. Header, free header by Neil. Another effort for Neil. How's it not gone in for Rylands? And eventually Flavel grabs the ball. Referee gives the free kick. The ball ended up in the back of the net for Rylands. I think it was Neil eventually that struck the ball in the net. But free kick had already been given after Flavel had the ball in his hands and it was kicked free by a Rylands man. And the question is, how on earth did Rylands not score there? Free header by Neil. Then he had an opportunity where he was free again inside the 6-yard box. He was eventually the man to poke the ball into the back of the net, but only after Flavel had been fouled. Ball now on the edge of the area of Thibault. Oh, nearly goal for Park Avenue. They went all the way up the other end. Thibault did really well to work himself some space, and great save by Luke Pilling, one-on-one. Here's Daniels, whips the ball across, and it's poked out for a corner to Park Avenue. Really great work just before the end of the half here. It was a long ball that eventually came from Flavel. Preston won the flick on. Thibault allowed himself to create a little bit of room, and his one-on-one effort was saved well by Pilling. Claims of handball after the corner was swung into the box, but the referee says no, and from where I am, I think I'm agreeing with the official. Big ball forward. Mayoko. Free kick given for handball, however, Mayoko just with a half-volleyed effort on the edge of the box. But it was a foul just before that by Thibault. I do believe that one was given for handball. And do you think that will be that for the half? After the 2 minutes have been played out now. Free kick to be taken by Luke Pilling, who strikes the ball. Referee puts the whistle to his mouth. Wakar Ahmad. And that is half-time here at the Horsefall Community Stadium. 1-0. Bradford Park Avenue currently lead thanks to a 26th-minute goal from Jake Daniels on loan from Blackpool. He gets his second goal for the club since joining just a couple months ago. It was fantastic work from Adrian Thibault. All half did really, really well to create himself a little bit of room. His effort on goal was saved well by Luke Pilling, but it was Jake Daniels who got there just ahead of Clive Smith to poke the ball past Luke Pilling in the goal of Warrington Rylands to give Bradford Park Avenue the 1-0 lead. Just before half-time, though, you think Warrington Rylands had their best chance, and arguably the best chance of the game after James Neal had a free header in the edge of the area after the ball was swung in by James Bailey. That ball bounced around and did end up in the back of the Park Avenue net, but the referee had already blown his whistle for a foul. Just before the half-time whistle, though, it was Adrian Thibault again twisting and turning inside that box and creating himself a bit of room. He ended up one-on-one with goalkeeper Luke Pilling, but the number one of Rylands provided a good, strong save. That's it for the first half here at the Horsefall Community Stadium. I'll be back in just around 10 to 15 minutes for the second half. But as it stands here in Northern Premier League action, Bradford Park Avenue 1, Warrington Rylands 0. Well, the teams are back out now for this Northern Premier League action on this Saturday afternoon. Bradford Park Avenue leading 1-0 here at the Horsefall Stadium against Warrington Rylands. Goal scorer Jake Daniels. The difference between the two sides after he got a 1-0 effort. Just poked it past the goalkeeper Luke Pilling after a rebounded shot from Adrian Thibault. Fell just in front of right back Clive Smith, but Jake Daniels got there first to tap it home as we look to be seeing a double change for Warrington Rylands. Ben Hardcastle and Javan Pedro coming on for them. Dan Cockerline looks to have come off. And I will confirm who else has come off in just a moment's time. And it is James Butler, who was looking like he was treading on thin ice late in that first half after a couple of questionable fouls on Adrian Thibault. First one earned himself a yellow card, and the second one almost identical to the first. Referee waved it away, but had a stern talking to the tall centre half of Rylands. He has been replaced at half time as we're underway now for second half action. Preston gets things rolling for Park Avenue. Back to Lancaster, who now goes high into the air looking for Mayoko, and it comes off the head of Mayoko. Hay gets to the second ball, and that goes out for a throw-in just in front of Danny Whittaker's bench. Throw-in taken quickly now for Javan Pedro. Pedro flicks the ball down the line looking for Howe, and Howe crosses the ball into the area. No, but it will go out for a corner ball to Warrington Rylands early in the second half. Just a few seconds into this second period, and Rylands already putting the pressure on the back line of Park Avenue. Ball to be put into the box by James Bailey. It'll be an in-swinging delivery when he does get to the set piece. Which he does now, in swinging front post delivery, cleared by Preston, but only as far as Bailey once more. He tries to drop the shoulder on Thibault, but Thibault's strength, using his body really well today, tries to switch the ball from the right hand side over to the left for Jake Daniels, and Daniels can't quite get there ahead of, I believe it was Neil there. No, it wasn't. It was Ben Howe. Howe goes back to his goalkeeper, and the ball eventually goes forward for Rylands, and it was a challenge between Yonsian and Mason O'Malley, and O'Malley just took a bit of a clatter in there. Referee give the foul, agreeing with his linesman who flagged it up. Took a bit of a clattering from big Florian Yonsian on the right-hand side. Free kick given just on the edge of the area of Park Avenue to be taken by Kieran Flavel. Flavel on loan from Barnsley will drive his left boot through the ball now, looking down the line for Daniels, who does get there first touch, and Preston can't quite get to the second. It eventually ends up back at Daniels, but can't keep the ball in play, can the Blackpool loanee. Javan Pedro coming on to the field at half-time, scored the first goal in the reverse fixture just over a month ago. He'll be looking to get his name on the score sheet as well here today. Lancaster now clears the ball high into the sky looking for Thibault, but won well by Hardcastle. And here is Pedro now driving behind the defence of Bradford Park Avenue. Him one-on-one with Whiting here. Looks to tip it inside, looking for, it was Hardcastle. And it's poked out for a throw-in halfway into the Bradford Park Avenue half. Taken out on that right-hand side. Into the feet of Pedro. Goes wide to Yonsian. Standing up Mason O'Malley. Tricky feet. Done really well to beat him all day. Really. O'Malley gets his foot in there, and eventually the cross does come in for Warrington Rylands by Ben Howe, and that does deflect out for a corner ball to Warrington Rylands. Corner to be taken by James Bailey over on that far side, right hand side, no. Bailey steps away from it as Brockbank, Daltringham loanee, says, I'll have this one. Almost all Park Avenue players back inside their own box, just Hopper on the edge and Daniels, as Brockbank looks like he'll swing the ball inside, but there's a man down inside the area of Park Avenue. It looks like Jack Whiting's just taken a little bit of a hit on his own goal line before the corner comes into play. Referee just goes and checks up on him as Whiting gets back to his feet. He's marking Mo Ture, highest league goal scorer for Rylands. Here's Brockbank, corner in, really deep corner all the way over everybody. It's well kept in by Rylands though, and ball comes back across the face of goal, but Flavel will comfortably collect that one and collapse on top of the ball. He rolls the ball out now to Riley De Senna, and De Senna's ball down this right hand side goes to Mayoko. Mayoko's header, 3 headers in a row. Mayoko, then Hay, then Preston. But the ball ends up back at the feet of Captain Neil, who finds his goalkeeper for Warrington Rylands, Luke Pilling, whose ball forward looks for Javan Pedro. Park Avenue regain the ball now with Jake Daniels on the halfway line. He goes forward looking for Thibault. Thibault back to Lancaster now. Here is Daniels driving towards the area slightly. Goes back out wide onto the left hand side to Thibault. What can he do? Plays the overlapping run. If he can. For Mason O'Malley. Corner ball is given after attempts for the Park Avenue crowd to cheer for that, claiming that the ball had gone out of play, and eventually the linesman did say yes, that one has gone out of play. And I think there's some complaints from the back line of Warrington Rylands, and the referee's just calling over one of them. I think he's got his hand in his pocket and must have said something that referee Wakar Ahmad didn't quite like there. Who has he put into the book? Goalkeeper Luke Pilling, by the looks of it, has been booked in the 51st minute. Must have been something he said about that decision to give a corner there. I think it was one of the assistant referees that flagged for the corner, so I don't really know why Pilling was abusing Wakar Ahmad, as the ball now is whipped into the area, bouncing around, but just onto the edge of the area. And here's Dean Furman looking down the line for Yonshan. Overload of bodies for Rylands if they can work it. Pedro now out to Yonshan on the right. What can he do? Just cutting in on his left. But great work from Daniels, today's goal scorer, to work all the way back. And here is Jordan Preston. Can he get beyond Clive Smith? Not quite this time. Smith just rolls the ball back on through to his goalkeeper, who smacks the ball long, goalkeeper to goalkeeper. And it'll end up at the feet of Kieran Flavel. He'll just wait, I believe, for Javan Pedro, to press him before collecting it in his grasp. And giving it a bounce 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, then rolling it out. Pile driving his left foot through the ball. Looking for Jordan Preston, but headers won by Clive Smith into the midfield for Rylands. Ball deflected out of play just before the halfway line for a Rylands throw-in. Here's Dean Furman. Furman to Ben Howe. Back to goalkeeper Pilling, who picked up the second yellow card of the game. First one went to centre-half Butler, who was replaced at half-time after being lucky to not be sent off due to a similar challenge that earned him his first yellow card late in the first half on Adrian Thibault. Throwing now for Park Avenue on the halfway line to be taken by Lewis Hay. It goes long, looking for Jordan Preston, who does get there first. And Neil clears the ball high into the sky. Out for Park Avenue throw-in, again on halfway to be taken by Lewis Hay. Hay throws it into Mayoko's feet. Mayoko back to Hay. Just in front of the dugout of Danny Whitaker, but the ball is lost now. And here's Hardcastle switching it out. Here is Mo Ture driving into the Park Avenue half. Turns back, plays it to Furman. Furman had the option to play it out to Brockbank, and he eventually does. Brockbank just being stood up by Ed Mayoko, and then goes back to Furman. Plays a nice ball infield to Clive Smith. Smith, with a bit of room in front of him, goes out wide to Howe, and Howe steps inside the challenge of Daniel, just on the edge of the area now. Jack Whiting gets there ahead of Javan Pedro after the ball from Howe was looking for the second half substitute of Warrington Rylands. Foul given by referee. Great defensive work by Jack Whiting to just get in front of Javan Pedro wearing the number 17 this afternoon. Kieran Flavel will take the subsequent free kick. Which he hits down the left-hand side looking for Daniels, who doesn't quite win that header. But Lancaster regains the ball, now shifts it out onto this right-hand side, looking for Mayoko, does really well to hold up the ball off of Brockbank. And Brockbank just runs straight through the back of Lewis Hay, and quite an obvious free kick given there by Wakar Ahmad. Ahmad just displaying, just gone straight through the back of him there. And a free kick just in front of Danny Whittaker's dugout. A chance for Park Avenue to put the ball into the area. Lewis Hay currently stood over the ball. What can the left-footed right back produce here? Luke Pilling just on the edge of his 6-yard box. Hay loops in a ball towards the penalty area. Falls to Miyoko's feet. Can Miyoko get a shot on goal? He does twist and turn and try and get a shot on goal, but it is blocked. Worked out wide now to Lancaster. Lancaster looping the ball into centre's header. And it falls into the feet of Pilling. And Pilling now tries to get things started quickly for Rylands after a kick long now. Header won by Harrison Hopper, but no further than substitute Hardcastle, who's just on this left-hand side, driving in towards the area now. Can he fire a ball across? Great challenge by Lewis Hay. Out for a goal kick. Absolutely fantastic work from the man that just took the free kick moments ago, recovered all the way back into his own box, put a challenge in on Ben Hardcastle. And it was such a good challenge that he won himself and his side a goal kick to be taken by Kieran Flavel. Great work by Park Avenue's back line so far. They lead 1-0 here in the 56th minute at the Horsefall. Park Avenue 1, Rylands 0, thanks to a Jake Daniels 26th minute goal. But Rylands, after making a double change at half-time, definitely looking to put more emphasis on getting that ball towards the goal of Kieran Flavel. Throw in to be taken by Mason O'Malley. On the far side from me here. Park Avenue shooting from left to right. Of course, Rylands right to left. O'Malley gets the ball in play. 1-2 with Daniels. Daniels can't quite win the header after the ball goes skywards from O'Malley. And now looking for Pedro. Pedro gets there, and here's a ball across the area. Can Hardcastle get there? Not quite this time, but great work from Mason O'Malley. And now Jake Daniels with the ball at his feet. Great work from Jake Daniels to just turn his man on the inside and tries to play a ball across to Thibault, who does really well to work that ball back to Jordan Preston just behind him. Preston now with the ball at his feet. Look at the strength of Park Avenue's captain. Shot on goal from Harrison Hopper. Looked nice when it left the boot, but eventually just swerved away from the goal of Luke Pilling. Goal kick to be taken. He plays the left-footed ball across to Clive Smith, who started at right back in the first half, but has moved into a central defensive position since James Butler left the field at half-time. Here's Howe. His ball out wide. Just couldn't quite stay in play. It will go out for a throw to be taken by Mason O'Malley. O'Malley throws it down the line looking for Daniels. Daniels one-on-one with Neil, but the ball will run on through after Neil puts his foot through it. All the way through to Flavel. Who's got Javan Pedro just being a bit of a nuisance around him. Not allowing him to roll the ball out particularly. Forcing him to go long, and he does go long this time. And it's cut out by Captain Neil. And Furman now distributing forwards to Toure. Toure looking for a ball in behind, but Flavel's wise to that and comes out rushing out of his area, stopping the run of Ben Howe from getting there first. Here's Lancaster over on the left-hand side to O'Malley, and then infield to Daniels. Back to Lancaster and across to his goalkeeper. Furman wins the header after Flavelle went long, and great work from Daniels to poke the ball free away from Neil. Here's Eddie Mayoko, cut out by Brockbank, but it'll fall to Lewis Hay on the halfway line. It was looking like he fancied a crossfield ball to Jordan Preston, who's got plenty of space out on that left-hand side, but opts to just go back to Riley de Senna, and now it is Hay once more. Here is de Senna, the Australian centre-half, who's driving forward, and the ball's taken off him by Javan Pedro eventually. Moture now driving into the half of Park Avenue. Hopper causing himself a nuisance. And the ball's won by Hay after the ball went astray from Touré's pass. Looking over the top for Thibault. But Neil does well and is wise to that one. Knocks it across to Clive Smith, who finds Furman. Then Furman into Howe. Neiled again. Great 50-50 challenge from Harrison Hopper. Nice and clean. Looks like he's feeling that one though. Does the Park Avenue central midfield. Park Avenue have the ball now on the half of Rylands, but it's lost. And here's Hardcastle, one of the second half substitutes. Hopper's still feeling the impact of that challenge. Just a bit of a limp on Park Avenue's number 8 at the moment. It looks to be feeling his hip almost after a big crunching slide challenge. Rylands just comfortable with possession of the ball here in the 61st minute at the Horsfall Community Stadium. Here's Touré driving forward. What can he do now? Gets a shot on goal straight down the throat of Kieran Flavelle. Will not mind facing that all day. As he comfortably rolls on top of the ball and out to de Senna now. De Senna's ball goes really poor, and Whittaker's not happy with that one. De Senna eventually puts a challenge in and gives away a free kick on Javan Pedro. And it must be said that that was after de Senna gave away the ball wastefully. Eddie Mayoko and de Senna just having a bit of a conversation about that. And it meant that eventually Rylands put on a bit of pressure and now have an opportunity with a free kick just over 25 yards out. They look to try and be cheeky and get things started quickly. They're playing Moture in, but the referee says you're not doing that. De Senna didn't go into the book there, but this free kick's in a really promising position if you're a Rylands fan, Rylands player, or anything to do with Warrington Rylands. 25 yards out, just slightly left of centre. James Bailey, stood over the ball with his yellow boots on, looking for with his right foot, as if he's going to curve this into the top left-hand corner, you feel. I think Dean Furman's potentially the other one, stood over the ball. No, it's not. It's Brockbank. But you think James Bailey's been lining this one up for quite a while. 5-man wall for Park Avenue. Referee blows his whistle. Up steps Bailey. Right-footed effort. Curling over the bar. Was always going over the bar. Just too much on it. It eventually did, but only after it had gone out of play. Danny Whittaker barking on instructions towards his centre-half, Riley de Senna, after he almost put his side in trouble there. Flavelle ready to take the goal kick for Park Avenue. Under half an hour to play here in Northern Premier League action. Ball goes forward by Flavelle and won well by Bailey in the air. More pressure being put on by Rylands now. Moture shifts the ball out, but Mayoko's done well on defensive duties. And Dean Furman's ball goes astray, and unfortunately Mayoko can't quite keep possession for Park Avenue. Neil dancing away from Thibault, and a great ball in behind by Neil, looking for Ben Howe on this left-hand side, on the edge of that box, byline. Cut out well by Riley de Senna, who clears it to Mayoko. On the right-hand side for Park Avenue, deep inside his own half. He goes down easily under a little bit of contact, and Moture driving into the box now, sets up the strike of James Bailey, and that one goes high and wide and doesn't trouble any of the Park Avenue players. Defence, goalkeeper, none of that. Goal kick to Bradford Park Avenue. Be interesting to see when substitutions come into play for BPA. Kieran Flavelle just taking the goal kick now, hoofing the ball downfield, high into the sky. Preston using all of his strength if possible, but can't quite win the ball against captain James Neal. It's Harrison Hopper presses Dean Furman, but can't quite get there, and Bailey looks to play a ball down the line for Ben Howe. Howe has a one-on-one with Whiting, and Whiting does ever so well again to just put the ball off Ben Howe. Winning Bradford Park Avenue, a throw. Mason O'Malley to take, almost on his own corner flag, goes to Jake Daniels just up the line, and then O'Malley receives the ball again and plays it long, looking for Preston, who had Clive Smith all over his back. Not fouled though, and then ball bouncing around just 10 yards outside the Park Avenue area. Eventually will land at the feet of Jake Daniels, who drives across from the left-hand side to the right, and Eddie Mayoko looking to get down the neck of Brockbank. What can he do here? Nothing, as it turns out. Brockbank will guard the ball out for a Warrington Rylands throw. And we'll look to be seeing another Warrington Rylands substitution. Looks like Mark Duffy will be the one that's coming on for them. But the ball's still in play at the moment. Riley DeSena nods that one out, and it will be Mark Duffy entering the field of play for Ben Howe. Substitution made quickly here in the 66th minute. That's the third substitution for Warrington Rylands this afternoon. Park Avenue yet to refer to the bench. Throw in now should be taken just inside the Bradford Park Avenue half by Liam Brockbank. Looks for Moture, and Moture's desired target couldn't quite get there, but does end up at Brockbank's feet once more. And Brockbank now driving down the left. Looks for Toure, who turns back towards his own goal. Here's Duffy with his first touch this afternoon. Plays the ball ever so close to Thibault. But that ball will eventually find its target of James Neal, who then goes back to goalkeeper Pilling, who smashes one downfield. And again, goalkeeper to goalkeeper from Pilling, all the way through to Kieran Flavell in the goal of Bradford Park Avenue. And Flavell rolls the ball out wide onto the left-hand side for Whiting, who goes down the line looking for Preston. Preston can't quite win that ball, but it will end up being cleared, and only as far as Whiting once more. Hopper thinks he's been fouled there after pressure from Furman from behind, with the ball now going forward, edge of the box. Here's Moture, slips in. Hardcastle hits hard and low, and great save by Flavell. It was hit at him, but had to make that save, had to be in the right position to keep the score 1-0 to Bradford Park Avenue. But that was some good play for Warrington Rylands there. Moture just found himself in a bit of space, driving towards the area, slipped in Ben Hardcastle, and you think he might have been able to do a little bit better from that position, but produced a good, strong save by Kieran Flavell once more this afternoon. Corner ball for Warrington Rylands. In swinging delivery. Looking towards that backstick area, which there's nobody there, and it goes out for a goal kick. To Bradford Park Avenue. Kieran Flavell just slowly over to the far side to get the ball himself. Scores from around the grounds. Ashton United 2, Worksop 0. Guiseley 0, Radcliffe 0, Matlock Town 2, Lancaster City 0. Morpeth 1, Atherton Collieries 1, Whitby 0, Gainsborough Trinity 0, Workington 0, Hyde United 1. Throw in for Park Avenue just inside their own half. Lewis Hay to take. Looks to throw it long down the line. Plenty of spin on that ball. Header won well by Brockbank, only as far as Hardcastle, who just gives the ball back to Will Lancaster. He tries to poke it down the line towards Jordan Preston. Now throwing all the way down the line for Ryland, looking for Javan Pedro. And Pedro, just in front of his own bench, they thought he was fouled there, but Lewis Hay won that nothing but fairly. An assistant manager, caretaker manager, I do say, Sam Wilson. Not happy with that decision from referee Waqar Ahmad. Lewis Hay most definitely fouled, though. It was just whether that first one of the Hay challenge on Pedro was potentially deemed a foul. But the referee disagrees and gives it Bradford Park Avenue's way. Flavelle comes out of his goal to take and goes long and deep into the half, just all the way on the edge of the box of Park Avenue. Header's won by Thibault, but goes through to Pilling's gloves, who tries to smack the ball down the left-hand side, looking for Pedro, who was charging forward, but that ball does run out of play as Lewis Hay comes over to take the throw. Just over 20 minutes to go here at the Horsefall Stadium. 1-0 the current score. Bradford Park Avenue lead thanks to a 26th minute Jake Daniels goal after tapping home a rebounded effort from Adrian Thibault. Just got ahead of Clive Smith at the time, but Rylands growing into it more and more now in the second half. Mo Toure with the ball at his feet, shifts it out to Bailey. Bailey inside the box now on the right hand side, tries to whip the ball across, but it will just bounce against Mason O'Malley and out for another corner to Warrington. Rylands will send the big lads forward once more. Bailey just setting the ball up on the D of the corner, allowing Brockbank to go over there and take. In swinging delivery it will be. Plenty of players crowded around goalkeeper Kieran Flavelle. Brockbank in swinging effort. Bouncing around and it's ended up in the back of the net. Mo Toure, the man that pokes the ball home. 1-1 the score here. Warrington Rylands get back on level terms in the 71st minute. Mo Toure with his 12th league goal of this campaign. There's an in-swing delivery from Liam Brockbank. That ball was just towards the front post area. There was a touch on it at the front post, and it led all the way to the back post, where Mo Toure was there to just tap the ball home. As we'll see a substitute now for Park Avenue, which sees Eddie Mayoko leave the field to be replaced by Teddy Lavelle in the 71st minute. Perhaps a change of shape for Bradford Park Avenue now, as the score is level. Kick-off taken by Jordan Preston into Lancaster, now to Ted Lavelle, who got his first touch of the afternoon wearing the number 17 shirt. His ball goes forward again. Bailey couldn't quite get that ball under his spell. Great work by Jake Daniels. Said that all afternoon. Tries to look for Jordan Preston but can't quite find him, and now Yonsian to Toure. Toure looked to flick it round the corner, but there was nobody there other than Lewis Hay. But Rylands do eventually get it clear, only as far as Ted Lavelle, who spoons the ball straight up in the sky and then tips the ball out now to Mason O'Malley. And he goes down the line, just crossing the halfway line now is Jake Daniels, who feeds it back towards Ted Lavelle. And now Riley DeSena has the ball and a bit of room in front of him, but Javon Pedro driving down his neck. Lewis Hay looking to play a ball towards Harrison Hopper on the edge of the Rylands area, but that's cut out well by Clive Smith. Here's Mark Duffy. He plays the ball into Dean Furman, two very experienced central midfielders running the engine of Warrington Rylands. Now Furman clears it. Here's Hay. Hay with a touch at his feet, the left-footed right back, as the floodlights are on now here at the Horsefall Stadium. Flavelle goes out to Jack Whiting. 74 minutes gone here at the Horsefall. Here's Preston. Preston slips the ball in field. Here's Hopper. Effort on goal. Oh, and a save had to be made. Low and to the left-hand side of Luke Pilling. Ball nearly went out of play, but that's a great challenge from Adrian Thibault to not allow that ball to be cleared fully. But just an interesting effort there from Harrison Hopper, and you think there wasn't too much power on it, but clearly placement over power as Luke Pilling had to just get down one-handed, strong left-handed save, pushing it away from his goal. Throw-in to be taken by Brockbank, just by his own corner flag. But as it stands, Park Avenue still climbing out of the relegation zone. Hopper thought he was fouled again, but referee says no, and DeSena tries to get in front of Javan Pedro. Pedro trying to get things started quickly with a throw-in, but referee says just stop trying to sneak those few yards in. Ball back to Brockbank now. Throws it into Duffy, and Duffy back to Brockbank, who's got a little bit of room in front of him. Cut out well by Lewis Hay, but only out for a throw-in just in front of the Wayside's dugout. Into Hardcastle. Hay and DeSena, a combination of the Park Avenue back line. Couldn't quite get the ball clear. As Hardcastle now driving towards the area of Park Avenue. DeSena with a rash challenge. Free kick given, and you think that will be Riley. DeSena going into the book. Referee reaches into his pocket, and that will be a yellow for Park Avenue's Australian centre half. Here in what is the 75th minute. Free kick in a similar area to where it was last time Riley DeSena gave away a free kick, and it's the same man, James Bailey, that stood over the ball, perhaps just a little bit further out from goal than the last one. This will be 25 yards out from Kieran Flavel's goal, just slightly left of a central position. This time it's a four-man wall. Bailey stood over the ball. 1-1 the score currently here between Bradford Park Avenue and Warrington Rylands. The referee's just sorting a bit of argy-bargy out between Hopper and Toure. Bailey steps up, and same result as last time. Smashes the ball over the bar. Started dipping way too late after the ball was already out of play. But here is Flavel now with the ball at his feet for a Park Avenue goal kick. 15 minutes to go here of regular time at the Horsewall, hoping that Bradford Park Avenue can find a winner. Still more substitutions at their disposal when Danny Whitaker sees fit. Free kick given for a push on Adrian Thibault from Adrian Thibault. A short free kick is taken by Warrington Rylands. Neild feeding it into Furman and back to Neild. And Neild, the 22-year-old captain, goes to Brockbank, and Brockbank to Duffy, and then back to Brockbank, who's driving forward now against Hay. And Ted Lavelle gets a foot in, but now Dean Furman picks up the ball and shifts it out to the right now. Just drops it off with Motura, who fizzes the ball towards the area. And here's Brockbank. What can he do? Just play it back to Duffy. Tries to stand up his man, and Hopper does well to offer him no options further forward. Furman now to Bailey, trying to beat his man, tries to get a ball into the box. It does just about creep into the box, but no further than Mason O'Malley, who stood at the front. Jake Daniels trying to link up with Thibault, but he can't. And now the ball's poked free by Ted Lavelle, and a chance for a break for Park Avenue if this works out. Thibault one-on-one with Smith, and he's definitely got the beating of him for pace. But Preston now into the box. Can he square it? No. Still dancing around the edge of the area. Lays it off to Ted Lavelle. Ted Lavelle back to Preston on the edge of the area. Opens up for Preston for a shot on goal. And that one was rising the whole way. All the way out for a goal kick to Warrington Rylands. Just a chance there for Preston. That opened up for him a little bit. Had 5 to 10 yards of space on the edge of the area over on that left-hand side. Don't blame him for having that shot, but just didn't quite find the connection that he'd hoped for as the ball flew over the bar of Luke Pilling's goal. Pilling just waiting. Referee tells him to get on with it a little bit. He hits the ball downfield, flick on by Lancaster. Means that the ball will go out just by Bradford Park Avenue's corner flag for a Warrington Rylands throw-in. Chance of Rylands coming now from the travelling fans. Throw-in taken by Brockbank into Hardcastle. Now back to Duffy on the edge of the midfield and cleared by Will Lancaster over towards Preston and Daniels, and that's just a heavy touch off the knee of Daniels. It will run out of play for Rylands, throwing around halfway. Daniels visibly frustrated with that one. Feels like he could have brought that ball under his own control and perhaps got a break started, but unfortunately not. But this time does well to poke the ball away from Bailey, and driving down the left-hand side, deemed to have gone out of play. And he did kick the ball away there, and he will go into the book potentially, will Daniels, for kicking the ball away. Of course, we've seen harsher rules in terms of that this season. He will get a yellow card. Today's goal scorer for Park Avenue in the 80th minute. Ball bouncing around and out for a Rylands throw. In from Bailey to Duffy. Back to Duffy. Great press from Jake Daniels. Allows the ball to poke through to Thibault. And another chance for a break for Park Avenue now, as Rylands are committing more and more bodies forward, which just means that when Park Avenue do win the ball higher up the field, there are often chances for 3-on-3, 3-on-4 breaks when possible combinations of Preston, Thibault and Daniels. Great dancing feet from Harrison Hopper. Gone down, penalty given. Bradford Park Avenue have got a penalty. Great work over on that far side from Harrison Hopper, who got inside of his man. I believe it was Clive Smith, potentially knows. Yes, it was Clive Smith who gave away that penalty. Just went straight through the back of Harrison Hopper after he managed to get himself inside from that left hand, from that left wing. Couple of step overs, beat his man, driving towards the 6-yard area, and he was brought down from behind. And you feel like Jordan Preston will be the man to step up and take this spot kick. He's the man with the ball in his hands. He's the man putting the ball on the spot here in the 91st minute. Jordan Preston scored a penalty last weekend here at the Horsefall. Can he do it again this weekend? Less than 10 minutes on the clock here in normal time. Preston steps up, shoots, saved! Bouncing around in the area still, and it's saved. Great save, diving to the right-hand side of Pilling. And Preston hit the ball hard and low to the left-hand side, right-hand side of the goalkeeper, and Luke Pilling saved it well to keep the game at level terms 1-1, and that might come back to haunt them. But Park Avenue growing more and more in confidence now in these latter stages, creating themselves more and more openings and chances as Hay has the ball out on this right-hand side now. Hopper with the ball at his feet. Turns one way, turns the other. Creates himself a bit of room on this right-hand side. Great play into Hayes' feet. And that ball then goes for Furman, who cannons it off Jordan Preston and out for a Rylands throw. One all the score currently here at the Horsefall. Park Avenue 1, Warrington Rylands 1. Jordan Preston just having his penalty saved by Luke Pilling. Javan Pedro now trying to cause himself a nuisance in the Park Avenue box. Ball bouncing around. Toure with a chance across goal. And that was not too far away from finding that far top corner, you feel, for Warrington Rylands. It does run out for a goal kick to be taken by Flavel. But some crazy moments at the Horsefall right now. Park Avenue could have been leading 2-1. Could have also been trailing 2-1, but the score remains level at 1-1. Goal kick to be taken by Kieran Flavel, who hits the ball down with his left foot. Jake Daniels one-on-one with Bailey, and Hopper now plays the ball down the left-hand side, looking for Preston, but it's cut out well by Captain Neal, who drives himself up the right-hand side, looking for the feet of Pedro, and it'd be a weak one if the referee deems it a foul, which he doesn't. Pedro does well to battle his way around, and Preston picks up the ball on the halfway line. Can he shift it out onto this right-hand side, looking for Lewis Hay? He can. Great touch by the fullback Lewis Hay, who was brought down. Referee didn't think that was a free kick, even though he was blatantly taken down without the offender playing the ball. But eventually the ball goes a little bit further forward for Park Avenue, and Thibault is deemed to have brought down a man of Warrington Rylands' team. Goalkeeper Pilling will take this one. Smashes it downfield, looking for Pedro. Header won by De Sena and then cleared by Ted Lavelle. Smith dinks one out wide. Now for Bailey. Header won by Lancaster on the edge of his own area, and Daniels knocks the ball back towards Lancaster, who clears it once more towards the halfway line, but header's won by Smith and shifted out now to the left-hand side by Duffy. Here's Brockbank to one of the substitutes, Hardcastle. With his right foot, just plays the ball back to his captain. And then back across the back line to Smith. Let's try and play directly forward, looking for Yonshan. That ball will come free. Loose can't quite get there though, and Duffy has the ball at his feet halfway into the Park Avenue half. Moture with a run. No, it's Yonshan. Dancing feet. Riley De Sena on his back. He rolls it back to Duffy. Duffy with a chance to put the ball across the area. Header. Goal for Warrington Rylands. James Bailey puts the Blues in the lead. 2-1. They lead here at the Horsefall. A dramatic turn of events here in the second half. In the 85th minute, James Bailey puts the third position side into the lead.
What? Why has he booked Edgy? Oh, he went on the pitch to celebrate.
And we're back underway here in the second half. Long ball forward for Park Avenue as we're in the last 5 minutes of the second half. Throw in to be taken by Brockbank. Launches one down the line looking for Pedro, who wins the ball and can't get it past the head of Lancaster. And the ball is then hit down the line by Bailey. Only as far as O'Malley, but then back towards Torre. Torre now using his strength against Ted Lavelle. Shifts it out to Yonshan, who's dancing on that right-hand side, trying to work his way into the area. A combination of Daniels and O'Malley do well to get that ball clear towards Preston and Thibault here. On the halfway line, what can he do for Park Avenue? Done really well all day. It has Thibault and Daniels now, who picks up the ball once more. Those two link up down the left-hand side. Here's Hopper with his back to goal. Goes to Ted Lavelle and now to Whiting, who shifts it over to this right-hand side for De Sena. And De Sena's ball goes astray. Picked out by Duffy and only as far as Pedro now. Plays it in behind to Hardcastle. Hardcastle driving into the area. And it's blocked by Whiting and out for a Warrington Rylands throw-in. Just under 3 minutes left to go here in regular time of the 90. At the Horsefall, Warrington Rylands leading 2-1 against Park Avenue here. After Park Avenue went 1-0 up in the first half. Ball whipped into the area, bouncing around, no. Cleared. But only the far side for a Warrington Rylands throw. And you think the Warrington Rylands are just going to be looking to slow this game down now, if possible. Pedro just in the corner, one-on-one with Daniels. What can Daniels and O'Malley do? Pedro does well to earn himself a corner. Corner for Warrington Rylands over on that far side. Similar to where they got their first goal. And it's gutting for Bradford Park Avenue. Referee just making sure that the Park Avenue players are more than 10 yards away from the... They've done well to win the throw-in. After cannoning the ball off Moture. Mason O'Malley with the ball in his hands. Goes long down the line. What can he do? Looking for Hopper, who had a man all over his back there. Referee gave nothing. Moture now showing his strength. Bodies off Ted Lavelle, I think it was. But here is Harrison Hopper trying to get out of the box. Pulled back there. That should be a card, you think, for a cynical foul. Was it Javon Pedro, I believe, who just pulled back? Harrison Hopper, who's trying to get that counter-attack started. 90th minute we are in right now. And it looks like we'll be seeing 5 minutes of additional time added on here at the second half. Chance for Park Avenue to reclaim a point here this afternoon, if possible. Ted Lavelle wins the ball now. Deep in the half of Warrington Rylands. Hopper on that left-hand side. What can he do? Ball eventually cleared by Dean Furman and pulled back on the shirt is Javon Pedro. The free kick's given just on the halfway line. As the 90 minutes are up now and 5 are shown. Free kick to be taken by Flavelle, who smashes the ball forward, looking into the box of Warrington Rylands. Kieran Flavelle's free kick went no further than the goalkeeper Luke Pilling, who got a little bit... Well, Luke Pilling was trying to fall to the floor and instead fell into Adrian Thibault. And then got up and tried a bit like a baby. Trying to push the 19-year-old striker. But I get it. Duffy now cannons the ball off Hardcastle. Hardcastle throwing the ball up into the air for Hay. Substitution now for Bradford Park Avenue. Chinedu Osadibe coming on to the field for Lewis Hay. In the 92nd minute we are in now. Taken a long time to get Chinedu onto the field, but he is now on the field, and another substitution to be made by Park Avenue. Obviously, Leon Johnson come on by the looks of it. And Johnson will be replacing Harrison Hopper in the 92nd. And you feel like it's everything now going for redemption for Park Avenue in search for that point this afternoon. After leading 1-0, currently trailing 2-1. DeSena with a throw-in down the line. Throw-in for Park Avenue, halfway into the half of Rylands, out on his right-hand side for Leon Johnson to take. Who can Johnson find? Can he find Park Avenue feet? Looks for Preston. Poor touch by Jordan Preston. Ted Lavelle just needs to put his body in there, but can't quite against Dean Furman, and Furman gets himself a free kick after Jake Daniels brings him down on the halfway line. 2 minutes to go here in additional time. Free kick to be taken by Bailey.
Yeah, it'll be counted.
Chips it down the right hand side, looking for Pedro. He's trying to hold off his man. Ball will eventually go up for a goal kick. Flavel thuds one downfield, only as far as Furman. De Sena shanks the ball out of play into the dugout of Warrington Rylands. And 5 minutes have been played out of the additional 5. Rockbank throws the ball down the line. And that is full time here at the Horsefall Stadium. Big celebrations for Warrington Rylands. Bradford Park Avenue led this game 1-0 after a 26-minute goal from Jake Daniels in the first half. Jake Daniels did really well there after Adrian Thibault worked himself some room to get an effort on goal on Luke Pilling. That effort was rebounded and Jake Daniels got there first ahead of Clive Smith to poke that ball home to make it 1-0 Park Avenue. But then in the second half, it was a different story. They made 2 changes at half-time with Ben Hardcastle and Javan Pedro coming on. And both their goals, one in the 74th and one in the 85th. Just bundled into the net, really, after a cluster of bodies in the box. One from a corner, the other from another set piece. And it's gutting for Park Avenue, you feel deserved more this afternoon. Warrington Rylands, of course, at the other end of the Division 2, Bradford Park Avenue. But you think at 1-1, Jordan Preston had a penalty that was saved by Luke Pilling. He had the opportunity to make it 2-1 to Bradford Park Avenue, and that was saved. And I said at the time that could come back to haunt the men in green and white. And unfortunately, this afternoon, it did. Next Saturday, Bradford Park Avenue away at Whitby Town. Here's hoping that that is a bit more of a different story. But for this afternoon, the game finishes here as Bradford Park Avenue 1, Warrington Rylands 2.